morning, everybody. Today we're having a little bit.
I think it's afternoon now, dear.
I should say.
They don't know. We're gonna keep this part of the clip because it's good. Keep going.
What did it keep going at?
You're making cookies. What cookies you making? What cookies are you making? Come on, girl. Tell me what cookies you making. Well, at least show them the cutouts first. Show them the cutouts. Show them those banger cutouts you got.
I got a bunch of different sizes cutouts, and we're doing some sugar cookies today, and we're doing some fun stuff like decorating and stuff. So let's get started with the mixing. Now we're mixing the shortening. We'll be creaming the shortening and the sugar together.
And as usual, guys, everything will be in the description.
Try to be better now. You want to clean this up really good. I'm not using a mixer today because it's mostly done by hand, so I'm not going to create more dirty dishes than I need to. I'm not fond of doing dishes. Now we're adding the eggs. And you want to mix that up really well. Now we're going to mix up the dry ingredients. I got 1 cup of flour, the baking soda, and the baking powder. Now we'll whisk this together. And then when this is mixed, we'll alternately add the dry with the dry ingredient to this mixture, and then the milk, and add it alternately until, and just keep adding more flour alternately with the milk until it's thick enough where we can roll it out like a pie dough. Now I'm going to add about half of this mixture and stir that up.
Do we stir this real well, or do we leave it a little bit clumpy?
You want to stir this up until it's kind of well mixed, but it'll get more mixed up throughout while you're adding the other stuff. And the recipe actually asks for buttermilk, but since I don't have buttermilk, I put the regular amount of milk in with about a tablespoon of vinegar. And then add about 1/3 of this.
I gotta say, dear, that vinegar and milk looks like homemade buttermilk to me.
Yeah. The rest of that mixture. Now a little bit more of the milk stuff. I know this is kind of a long process, but that's what makes these so good, is just mixing it up really good. And now we just keep adding more flour, alternately with the milk like we were doing, about 1 cup per thing, and then just keep adding more flour with the buttermilk until it is thick enough to roll out. And you can refrigerate the dough if you want to before you roll it out, but I always like to do it room temperature. After you mix up the whatever mixture you want this to look like, you can mix in the vanilla. You can mix it in throughout while you're doing the dry and the buttermilk alternately, but this is how we usually do it. Add it last and then stir it in. It's kind of hard to stir it in, but I don't know, that's just how we were used to doing it. But you can do however you
So basically she's saying if you're a wimp and don't want to build up some arm strength, just go ahead and drop that vanilla in there while you're alternating.
Now put some flour on your surface wherever you're doing it at. And it might be a little bit of a sticky dough, so try and do it, you know, kind of a thick layer. And then get out whatever you're comfortable with working with. I didn't even get half of it, just whatever. And then put some more flour on top. And then just roll it out. You want to have it about 1/4 inch thick because they don't really rise that much. And in order to have a nice thick cookie, you'll want it like kind of thick. Now I'm gonna just cut them out. And if you do not have the cutters, one thing that works really well, if you have canning jars, the rings that go on the canning jar, you can use the rings as cutters, and that works pretty good. That's what I used before I had this cutter set. Now we're gonna put these on pan. You can space them kind of close to each other.
You put any type of coating on the pans for the cookies?
Don't put any grease or anything on there because they will not really stick. And you can space them kind of closely on the pan because they'll rise a little bit and stuff, but they will not really floof out like some of them do. And the flour will also help prevent the cookie to stick to the pan. And then I'm going to take a smaller cutout because I'm going to decorate these cookies. So I'm going to do some smaller ones just to use up some of this spare dough. And you can re-roll the dough out, you know, until it's all gone if you want, and so you're not wasting any. You want to preheat the oven at 400 degrees, and when you bake them for about 10 minutes. I'll show you what it looks like when they come out. And this is now about 10 minutes later. And these are just starting to turn a little bit tan on top. And if you feel them, they're nice and firm. So they're done. If you like them crunchy, just leave them in there a little bit longer. The edges will turn a little bit darker brown. But they're good either way. So that's how they look when they're done baking. Now this is for the frosting. And we want to beat up the butter. It's at room temperature. We want to beat that up really good so it's nice and fluffy before we add anything else. We'll just beat that up really good. Now we're going to add 2 cups of the powdered sugar. Now you want to beat up the butter and the powdered sugar up really good, and then we'll add the rest of the ingredients. Now we're adding the vanilla and the milk, and we'll beat that up good. Now I'm adding I'm going to add about 3 cups of powdered sugar in here. It's supposed to make a large batch of frosting, and if you have leftover frosting, I usually just store mine in the freezer for later use. So it's nice having it if you're in a pinch anytime. So I just got done mixing a bunch of different colors of frosting because I always like to kind of decorate them up a little bit.
I'm interested. How did you do the chocolate one, dear?
I put the Hershey's Cocoa in just enough to get that color. And now I'm taking a regular size cookie with the small one. I put icing on it. And I just take a regular Ziploc baggie, cut the tip off of it, whatever size you want it to be. And this cookie is going to turn into a magical little piggy. There's a little piggy. And I also put some other colors in Ziploc bags just for extra decorating. Use your imagination, and if you're playing a party or whatever, if you got something going on and you wanna make a batch of cookies for that, then you can make these prior, and you can make this like a couple days, week or whatever before you actually need them, and just put them in the freezer. And to avoid, when you freeze them, to avoid the frosting sticking onto each cookie, put them on, layer them one layer on a pan and freeze them. And after they're froze, you can put them in the package and they will not stick together. And then before they defrost, take them apart so they don't stick together after they're defrosted. Just a nice tip. And after I'm done decorating all these, I'll show you a picture of how it looks afterwards. But it's kind of, it'll be.
Is that going to be a cow's hoof?
I was going to show them after I'm done decorating.
Okay.
But I'm done now.
Okay.
Hey, so this is the finished product of what I did today. We got, with the batch size, we got almost 3.5 dozen. And here's some. They got a bite out of it. Well, not literally, but you know. And I got some piggies there. But if you don't want to spend the time and do it like that, just a plain frosted cookie, those are good too. And like I said, you can freeze them, and so you don't have to eat them all at once or save them for a special occasion or something. So if you have not subscribed yet, please do so, and thanks for watching, and y'all have a blessed day.